Today, I almost made the biggest mistake of my life. And that's really saying something, because I have 4 kids. Okay, I owe gluten an apology. And before I get into this, let me just start out by saying I am not a doctor. In fact, I'm like the exact opposite of a doctor, like a rot cod. I think that would be backwards. I'm not great at backwards words either. So if you're out there and your doctor told you not to eat gluten, or you stop gluten and you feel great, that's awesome. You do you. But if you're like me, you're just a lazy guy and you think you just found like the easiest possible way to lose weight, I've got some bad news. So I listened to this book on tape today. That's what I do because it's easier and faster than reading. I listen to it at triple speed so I can then do things with my hands like this. I don't actually work. I don't do anything productive. I just sit there waving my hands and staring at them. And this book is all about carbohydrates and gluten. I thought, let's get a scientist perspective on this. Let's see if I can make my life better and improve it while I'm sitting there doing this with my hands for apparently 3 hours. So it's a 9-hour book and it's 3 hours at triple speed. And this book is all about how gluten and carbohydrates have caused every problem in the history of the world. Everything that's wrong with your brain, with your body, every kind of genetic disease, they all come from gluten. You know, you have a sniffy nose or a stuffy nose, that's gluten. You have a neurological disorder, that's gluten. Your TV gets stolen, that's gluten. You know, Jesus gets killed, that's gluten. Like this book is just beating gluten up. And gluten is not there to defend itself. So I'm siding with the book. Like I have this 3-hour pile on about how awful gluten is. I'm like, yeah, I'm all on board. I am done with gluten. Gluten is the devil. You know, tell me how to be better, how to get rid of this. And as the book is going, it keeps talking about, well, this has gluten and that has gluten. Just like one food at a time kind of tossed in there. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. You know, if I can't eat that anymore, but if stopping gluten will make me live forever, well, obviously I'm going to stop eating whatever the heck that was. So we finally get down close to the 3-hour mark, you know, right towards the end of this thing. And this book has effectively told me that I can't eat a single food that I've been eating for my entire life. None of them. They're all off the table. They all have carbohydrates. They all have gluten. I'm done with that. And I'm fine with that because after listening to this, I never want to let gluten in my life again. Like gluten is that bad boyfriend who, you know, it seems so good, but he's just all wrong for you. And this book has taught me that. After a 3-hour just battering of logic, I'm done with gluten forever. So, and the book has been going on and on. I'm not going to tell you the name of the book, so I don't want you to listen to it, but it's been going on and on about how it's okay that you can't eat literally anything you've ever loved because the alternative is so easy. It's so easy. You're going to lose weight, you're going to feel better, you're going to be rejuvenated, you're going to live longer, you're going to be super smart until you're 200 years old. This is amazing. So I am ready at the end of this book. Tell me what I can eat. And the book spends like 5 minutes after taking everything off the menu, telling me what I can eat. And I did not recognize a single thing it said. I think I had to Google every food it listed. I'm going to put food in quotes here because these were not words that I think I or any other reasonable human being would recognize as food. It was like, oh, you can't eat pasta anymore, but that's okay because you can eat duck grass and pond muck. And like these are not foods. What is this? I'm giving up pizza for pond muck? This is a fair trade? And it keeps going. It's like, okay, I'm gonna keep an open mind because I do want to live forever. So let's see where this is going. And it's like, and here's the amazing thing: you never have to count calories again. You can eat as much as you want. And the whole book is talking about how protein is good for you and fat is good for you. I'm like, all right, here's the part where they say I can eat all the steak I can want. I can have pork chops for every meal. All this, and I keep waiting. You know, give me the bacon. It's like, well, twice a week you can eat salmon. Salmon? Salmon's not meat. Salmon is what you eat to remind you of why you should stick to meat and why all seafood restaurants should go out of business. You know, salmon is just a mouthful of disappointing wannabe meat. That's what that is. Like, okay, this is pretty devastating. But the author keeps going. And he gets down to Friday night and this menu he's all planned out for you with all this duck grass and all these salads and a tiny bit of salmon tossed in. He's like, and on Friday, you can have 3 ounces of steak. And that's when I was done. 3 ounces of steak. Who in their life has ever said they want 3 ounces of anything? That's not a portion size. That's like something you administer out of one of those like baby droppers. 3 ounces. You don't even have to chew that. You just toss that back and swallow it whole. 3 ounces. You want me to give up every food that tastes good, everything I've ever enjoyed for my entire life, and starve myself day in and day out so at the end of the week I can have 3 ounces of steak? Yeah, hard pass. I don't care if this diet does make me live forever. If I have to live forever eating pond muck and duck grass and 3 ounces of steak, I'm just going to die at 60 and be happy. I will take all the degenerative diseases you can throw at me, as long as I have flavor in my life, that is a life worth living. The only way this diet works, and they stress this over and over again, is if you do it forever. If you ever stray from your duck grass for even 1 second, if you get off your seeds and whatever else you pick up off the dirt that doesn't have gluten in it, you're done. You've canceled all the benefits. You have to do this forever, or you will instantly gain back all of the weight and lose all of the health benefits. Like, why would you want a good mind? Why would you want to stay sharp until you're 200 if you're eating these things? I would think you would want to forget. Your body should shut down. It's so disappointed in you. You know why the body hangs onto carbohydrates? Because they're amazing. They are the best thing you've ever put in your body. You eat a piece of pizza and your body's like, whoa, this is the best thing ever. I am never letting this go. And when you eat a spoonful of pond muck, your body's like, you know what? Let's just shoot this right back out the other end. We're not keeping any of these calories. Why are you feeding me garbage? That's why you lose weight on this gluten-free diet. And they tossed in other things. It's like, you're done counting calories forever, just as long as you eat these teeny tiny portions forever. But you don't have to count them. You just have to, be perpetually hungry. And if you want to really turbocharge your diet, you can fast. You can go 24 hours without food, or maybe 72 hours without food. That's not a diet. That's not science. That's starvation. Like, I didn't need a 3-hour book to tell me, hey, if you skip food for entire days, you will lose weight. That has nothing to do with gluten. That has everything to do with stupidity. Like, hey, if I voluntarily starve, I bet my belt will get tighter. I bet it will. Yeah, that was not where I was expecting this. I feel like I sat through a 3-hour business proposal, and at the end of it, I found out I was getting roped into a pyramid scheme for Amway. Like, that's how I feel this went. I was so devastated. Don't spend 3 hours telling me that everything I eat is going to kill me, and then the alternative is to die inside by eating everything that's devoid of flavor. That is not where I wanted it to go. And now I can feel the hate coming at me already. And again, if you've gotten gluten out of your diet, if you are on the path to immortality, if you have a medical reason for doing so, that's awesome. More power to you. You have more willpower than I will ever possess. Not only could I not enact this diet, I could barely sit through a book talking about this diet. Like, hearing about this diet, just passively sitting there and letting a voice talk through my earbuds to explain to me how this diet worked made me so hungry and famished that I had to go out and eat like an entire pizza just to compensate. So if you do have the willpower to carry that out, that's awesome. And I hope you enjoy outliving me by 100 years. But I hope at that point science invents some way to fit flavor in there. And the worst part of all of this, when gluten was being blamed for every disease it causes, and maybe it does cause them all, I don't know. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm a rot cod, or whatever I decided doctor was backwards. Can't even remember it from 2 minutes ago. Probably because the gluten's rotting my brain. But you know what? The big point in this book was that human beings haven't been eating gluten for that long. For hundreds of thousands of years, we ate mostly meat and some plants and occasionally fruit. And then all of a sudden we learned to farm. And he's like, our bodies are not adapted for the glutens from farming, from the carbohydrates from farming. But you know what? If gluten is rotting our brains, it's not doing a very good job. Because every worthwhile thing humankind has accomplished, every single one of them has been done since we started eating gluten. Those last 10,000 years. So we've got hundreds of thousands of years where we didn't leave any mark, where there is no recorded history. Nobody invented writing. There was no oral tradition that lasted that long. There's just nothing. And then all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, let's plant some wheat and eat that. And maybe it started rotting our brains. I don't know. But you know what happened after that? Civilization, specialization. We tamed the horse on gluten. We developed the wheel on gluten. We invented the internet on gluten. We landed on the moon on gluten. Every single amazing thing we've done was on gluten. We became so good at surviving, so great at conquering the world that we had time to feel guilty about literally every single thing we eat. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if I could write a book that made you feel terrible about everything you've ever put in your mouth? And we could do that because gluten has made us excel at conquering this world. We don't have to worry about going out hunting game. We've just got this glut of calories that our bodies never want to let go of. So I guess I'm just going to carry around a few extra pounds or a dozen extra pounds for the rest of my life because I am forever going to be Team Gluten. And gluten, let me just say from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry that I ever doubted you. For everyone out there who can't eat it for a medical reason, I am sorry. You do you. But gluten has always been my best friend. And I am sorry I almost turned my back on you, gluten. Please forgive me.